people say like, what's your 5-year plan? Like, shit, I don't know. And I don't really want one. I don't know if they're necessarily a good thing, because in 5 years time, I want to look back at what I was thinking now and be like, I'm way smarter than that. If you set up a 5-year plan and you just do all those things, you don't have that time to grow.
Welcome to Fruiting Body Podcast with your host, Brendan. We have another massive legend of a guest. It is Keis One. He has a huge YouTube channel. So if you've been living under a rock for the past little while and you don't know who he is, go check him out on YouTube, Keis One. Now, we're shooting this after his podcast, so I'm going to tell you a little bit of how that went down. First of all, he was super hungover, trying not to swear. And actually, after the podcast, me and him went out for a couple of beers, and by a couple, I mean 15. So I was extremely hungover on the next podcast, and we're going to show you that intro with John Gibbons, but my God, he was feeling it as well, and he was almost like, I don't know if we should air it, but let's give you a recap about that podcast and what we discussed. Basically, I wanted to understand his creative process, why he got behind becoming a YouTuber, his move from South Korea to Thailand, and his brief time in Australia, and how this all actually encompassed and came together of his channel, Keis One. Now, you're seeing him around Bangkok mostly, but he's in Pattaya a lot as well. He was just down in Phuket. Depending on when this airs, we're kind of going to be aligning the same type of content. So we hope you enjoy. Don't forget, if you're tired of listening to me ramble, we got timestamps below. Those are chapters for you. You can navigate different chapters and find content that maybe you want to watch. We also have a clips channel, Fruiting Body Podcast Clips. A little bit about us. Fruiting Body Podcast is a medicinal mushroom lifestyle company located on the island of Phuket. So we're doing supplements like lion's mane, reishi, cordyceps. You can find it all at www.fruiting-body.com. Our products you can buy right off Lazada, so you don't got to deal with a website and registering and all that bullshit. Anything else? I think that's all. So let's get this podcast started.
Okay, thanks Adam for joining us today. I know you're in Patong at the moment, enjoying the fruits of Phuket.
A little bit too much.
A little bit too much. Before we jump right into it, why are you down in Phuket right now? Just visiting?
Yeah, I had a mate he's Aussie, but he lives in Vietnam. And he wanted a holiday, came to Thailand. So we've come here many times. Like, we used to sort of travel here. And it's easy for him to fly direct in. So.
Where is he? Is he in Ho Chi Minh or Da Nang?
Yeah, Ho Chi Minh.
Ho Chi Minh, yeah. I saw you went out to Vietnam.
Yeah,
right?
I spent some time there a little while ago.
Love
Vietnam.
A bunch of the vloggers went out there. I saw Patty, Esquire's out there now.
Yeah.
And Gary was there. Why were you guys? Was it kind of just like, we needed to change from Thailand, and Vietnam was an interesting place to get content? Or?
Yeah, well, I mean, now that everywhere's starting to open up, it's just like, it's an easy choice.
Just push that mic up a bit. Yeah, I think that's good. Up. Yeah, okay, we're good.
Yeah, it's an easy choice. It's cheap to fly there, and it's awesome. I really enjoy Vietnam.
Yeah, where did you go?
I stayed Saigon pretty much most of the time, and then I went down south because I wanted to go to the beach. Went to check out the closest beach, and I actually really enjoyed it there, Vung Tau, and I had a great time there, and that's why, yeah.
Yeah, I think Vung Tau, it's not as south as, is it Phu Quoc?
Well, I don't know. I'm not great with it all down there.
Phu Quoc is like an island. Apparently, it's supposed to be like Phuket. I've been to Vietnam once, I think 3 or 4 years ago, but I'd love to go back. I went at the worst time. I went in February or January. It was so cold. Cold, yeah. If you go to Vietnam around the China New Year, so let's say the end of January, yeah, it's chilly, especially if you're on the motorbike and it can be raining. I just remember, it definitely wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah. Did you make your way up to Halong Bay?
No, I haven't been up that way yet.
Yeah, it's gorgeous up there. I did a boat tour for 5 days. And
oh, nice.
I don't know. I don't remember much. I mean, I've been in Asia so long, and this all kind of blends together. Okay, so we're going to kind of take it back a notch. Can you explain to us the process of what were you doing in Australia? What brought you to South Korea? And then inevitably you ended up in Thailand. Tell us that story.
So, I was back working in Australia. I worked in hotels. I got into the corporate side. I was at quite a high level. But I always wanted to live overseas. I always wanted to have that experience of living somewhere abroad And even if it was just a year, I would have been cool with that. So I left in 2017, moved to South Korea with not a huge plan. I had about enough money to last me a year, or I thought that's what I had, and I was just gonna go over there and see if we can figure something out. At that time, my Instagram was kind of blowing up in Korea for whatever reason, and I was attracted to that, and I just wanted to see where that would take me. And I ended up doing all sorts of random things there. I was doing like TV acting and extra work. I was just like the token white guy, basically. And then I'd probably still be living in Korea if it wasn't for the pandemic. I got stuck out of there basically, and Thailand was just about the only place open. And I thought I'd come here and then spend a little bit of time here and then bounce back to Korea. But no, I've fallen in love with the place and it's home.
Yeah, I saw that. Now, your story, you're originally actually dating a Korean girl in Australia.
Yes.
And you've explained in the past, there's a podcast you just did with the guy, what's his name again? The Raw Unfiltered. We'll put links in the description. Yeah. I was watching that. It's very interesting. I thought it was very in-depth into your life. So I would suggest for people that want to really dive into the full story, go watch that out. Link in the description to that podcast. Now, you were talking about you were dating this very rich South Korean girl,
yes,
but not materialistic. And now, did you go with her to South Korea? Is there a reason which drew you to South Korea? Is there any connection there?
Well, I learned about Korea from her, and I became interested in the culture. I started to like the music, like not K-pop, but I like Korean hip-hop. And it was, Korea was just a country that I became really interested in. So I actually never went there with her. I went 2 or 3 times before living there. And it was so different. It's so different to Australia in every way. So that's why, that's one of the things that really attracted me to it.
Yeah, I've been to Seoul. I've been to North Korea.
Right.
Yeah. I played ice.
What was that like?
I told this story on the podcast quite often, but kind of the short version. We got invited with a Japanese hockey team. I was living in China to go play against the North Korean provincial hockey team of Pyongyang. And we flew from Beijing, we went in. So we got like this red carpet treatment. It was awesome. But essentially, like, if you just type in North Korean tour on YouTube, they're going to show you this video. That's all you can see. Which is, it's normal. It's a normal city. I mean, they can't put a show on for everyone. It's an operating city, but basically it's just tons of statues and propaganda. But we did get to see the side of, playing ice hockey. We didn't go to the countryside or anything like that. And I think we were there 3 days or something. But yeah, it was interesting. There's some funny stories there about.
I'm fascinated by it. I'd love to go.
Yeah, but again, just go type in like North Korea tour. Go watch that. That's all you're going to see when you're there. Right. There's really nothing outside of that, unless I heard you can do the train to the Chinese border. But I don't think you can film when you do that because you're going to the countryside. I also played ice hockey in Seoul in South Korea. Did you ever go to a baseball game in South Korea?
I did, yes.
Unreal.
And you know what? Like baseball, I'd never like really watched a game. It's not popular in Australia, and I always thought it'd be kind of boring. And I had a great time there. I like really enjoyed it.
Yeah, by the end, I'm like 12 beers deep, and you think you know every song, and you get right into it. I mean, the South Korean baseball experience. I've been in Asia 12 years. It's probably one of the best experiences I've had in Asia.
Right.
No one's really watching the game. They got the two teams like separated. They both have their bands and they're playing their songs and going along. And they got hot dogs there. I thought it was
yeah.
So you were in South Korea, correct me if I'm wrong, almost 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes,
right?
5 years ago, yeah.
And you stayed there for about 2-3 years?
Up until 2020.
Right up until 2020. Now, that experience, it's quite different than the typical, I don't want to say white guy, whatever, as we leave our home countries. Usually the transition is always teaching English. Now, I was assuming maybe you were teaching English in South Korea, but no, you kind of went in with this no plan, essentially. As you've explained many, many times on your YouTube channel, you don't have a plan. You kind of just go with the flow. Yeah. Now, when you went to South Korea with this plan, okay, you got enough money to last the year. I'm going to kind of find my way and take on things that can, so you don't blow through the budget. But you never took the decision to teach English. Why was that?
I didn't want to work at all, really.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to work. I didn't want to have like a commitment. So like that's what I liked about when I was doing the acting and the extra work. It was sort of whenever I wanted. And if I didn't feel like working, I didn't have to work. So I just wanted the freedom, really.
Yeah, and now I didn't realize that you kind of just explained that you blew up more on Instagram than before you even started your YouTube. I saw some of your early videos, if not your first, where you're kind of doing these, how to spend $150 in a week in South Korea. And there's a huge transition in production and everyone's ability from, where they begin to today. Everybody, I mean, you can blanket statement that. Now, what made you decide to start vlogging in South Korea?
I enjoy making videos. It was just a hobby. So, I mean, obviously, if anyone that puts a video on YouTube, you hope it does well. But I wasn't expecting to become a YouTuber because of it. I actually, years ago, I had a channel that did really well and I deleted it. I didn't know. So I told you I like Korean hip hop. There's a Korean hip hop TV show. It's like The Voice type thing, but for hip hop. So I'd watch it and react to it before reaction videos were a big deal. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I had a reaction channel throughout this TV show that went for like 10 weeks or whatever. And my videos were getting like 40, 50,000 views a video. But I didn't know you could monetize. I was just doing it for fun and kind of hoping to grow my Instagram from it. And then when the show finished, I was done with it and I deleted the channel. And because it was so successful, I guess my thinking was like, oh, it's easy. Like you just upload a video and YouTube does the rest. And it doesn't work like that, as I'm sure you know. So yeah, it was just a funny journey. And I had a great channel and I did absolutely nothing with it.
Why did you delete it? What was the reason?
I was finished with it. Like
you didn't just want to leave it out there?
I don't know. Like okay. I really can't tell you, like, because I do think about that sometimes. I'm like, why would I have done that? It was a great channel, great views and everything.
Yeah, because you can watch some YouTubers and some YouTube channels. What they'll do is they'll buy existing accounts to piggyback off of that have like irrelevant content, but they have the subscribers, and that probably would have been a great transition for what you were starting as well. Yeah. As you got into vlogging and you're going out, now, from my understanding is you didn't do that much content in South Korea compared to what you've done in Thailand. Primarily, were you focused on Instagram? Was this your main idea and concept to maybe generate revenue?
Yes. I was getting like some sponsorships from clothing companies and stuff through Instagram, but I was just more interested in where that was going to take me, and I didn't know where that was. And YouTube was just a hobby. It's just something I did for fun. Whereas when I moved here to Thailand, I was 100% committed to making it and making a living from it. So.
Any new YouTuber, and specifically your content, it's more like a day in a life vlog. You're really showing, and it was interesting to hear you say that. I don't think of putting what I'm going to create for the content. You're living your day-to-day life, and then the content kind of follows that. Yes. Which is much different than, let's say, guys like Esquire or Chris Parker or Patty Doyle or Mickey Stoke. These people, they kind of have a plan and a direction. Mm-hmm. Now, when you came to Thailand and you were planning to build this YouTube channel, or let's say take it to the next level, was that your goal? I'm going to just continue vlogging in Thailand and see how to monetize that.
Yes. And what I wanted is kind of what I'm doing now, but you can't start like that because you need to build a relationship with the audience. And, if you just start making daily life videos, people are going to be like, well, why would I watch this guy? So for me, the videos that started doing well were like informative ones during the pandemic and updates and letting people know what was happening here. And then you build the audience, and then I was able to, start doing more of the daily life stuff, and people stuck around for it.
There's a certain point your content, and every YouTuber can kind of, agree with this. Let's call them house tours, and how much does this rent cost, and how can I spend $5 in Bangkok, and how far will this money go? And those videos always do well. Some of your top videos, you're usually involved with a female friend.
Yes. And
this can be in South Korea, this can be in Philippines and Thailand. When did you decide, like, okay, this type of content's doing very well and I'm going to lean into it?
You know, it just, well, actually, the first time I put a girl in the thumbnail, the video jumped up in views. Like I noticed it, chalk and cheese difference. But I never do them, like I enjoy doing the videos with the girls, but for me, it's not for the views. And I actually get concerned, like I don't want to do too many in a row with girls because I don't want people to follow me for them. So that's why I try and sort of break all that up. But because I enjoy making videos, I want to make them with my friends. That's what I'm passionate about, and I enjoy that experience.
Now, when you're finding these female friends, and I saw one in the Philippines, you had two girls with yellow shirts. They didn't talk much on camera, and this is probably one of the first videos that really launched the channel.
Yeah.
When you reach out to them, are you explaining like what's going to be happening today? Yes, you're doing the day in the life, but how are you connecting with them originally?
So that one, I was friends with those two girls anyway, and I've been sort of hanging out with them. I've been to Philippines a few times, and I always hung out with them, and they just wanted to sort of come along for the day. And I don't think they interacted with the camera at all. They were just sort of doing their thing, and I was filming it. And I didn't know, like I wasn't taking YouTube seriously then. It was just sort of for fun. So it was just a fun little video. I had, only a handful of subscribers. So it was just a fun video for me to make mostly.
When you're originally meeting them, and maybe this is a more difficult question, there's a lot of, I know a lot of friends here that will travel to the Philippines and they'll use the apps like Filipina or whatever.
Right.
We got people using Thai Friendly. Is that how you're initially connecting to them?
No, I mean, I know I've met everyone first. So, I mean, I've used like Tinder and stuff to meet people, but I think two of the videos that I did, they were actually like the first time we'd met. But the rest of them, like I already knew the people before, and then they'll suss me out and watch some of the other videos and stuff. And I think they make the decision whether they want to do it or not.
Have you had any trouble with them later in the future as to frame that question? They may have had the intentions to be building their accounts and chasing clout. And after they film, they might come back to you and say, hey, this video is doing quite well. What's in it for me?
No, I haven't had any of that, thankfully. Everyone that's been in my videos, I have a great relationship with. It's more the biggest challenge for them is building the trust to be to relax on camera and sort of be themselves, because I'm used to filming myself, but they don't want to ever look bad, right? Like why people take 100 selfies to get the one shot. But once they see that I edit out the bits where they don't look good or whatever, that builds the trust, and then they get much more natural on camera.
Some of these videos, again, you'll be in the Philippines, then you're in Thailand, and there's a variety of girls that are going to be on those vlogs for that day.
Yeah.
Do they ever take a look and go, hey, they can scroll back and see there's maybe 5 different girls and maybe they're number 6. Is that a question that comes to the table, and are they offended?
Not really. I'm very upfront when I meet people about, it's all out there anyway, so I can't really be secretive. Just about all the girls that have been in my videos, they've all kind of met each other at different points, and they're all really good friends of mine. But just when I do meet people, I'm very upfront, like right from the beginning.
But it's not like an Andrew Tate harem you're running here, no?
No.
I saw one of the videos I watched yesterday. There was a girl that was kind of a real estate agent or working in real estate in Pattaya. She came to Bangkok, and it was during the lockdowns and whatnot. And you made this video where you kind of went to her house and you were playing cards and eating food. These relationships do they last longer, or can you talk a bit about like what relationships have you continued with these girls maybe for a longer period of time? Yeah,
so that girl that you're talking about, she was one of the first girls that I did videos with here in Thailand. We're still fantastic friends. I was with her a couple of days ago. We still hung out. And the other one that I had a lot, the girl with the pink hair. Kay, yeah. Kay. So she was my girlfriend. We actually went out for about 4 months. And then after we broke up, we're still really, really close. I hung out with her last week as well. So these are my friends. I genuinely care about them. So it's easy to maintain that relationship.
And they're okay with the content. Now, watching guys that are maybe one of the top vloggers right now, and it's objective to say guys like Esquire. when you're creating your content, do you do some research to see, what is he doing? Why is he being more successful on these videos? Is there anything I can take from that and kind of, whether it's small things that you could touch on that you can incorporate into yours?
I mean, I don't look at other, like Esquire or whatever. I don't look at what they're doing here and try and model what I do on that. I just try and stick to what I'm doing, because I don't want my content, you know, I don't plan my
You're not
planning.
playing.
Say this.
Yeah, I understand. You're never, like you said. You're saying tomorrow. You're driving up here.
Yeah.
You're filming, and you're just filming whatever the hell you're going to be doing in that
That's right.
day.
Yeah.
This is the North Star of your content.
Yeah, so I don't try and plan my day around my content. Is what I was trying to say. I try and decide. I decide what do I want to do today, and how can I make a video from that.
Yeah, and for today, so this will turn into maybe a piece of content. And how quickly can you turn that around in terms of your editing process and actually launching it to YouTube?
I can do it same day.
Same day?
I can. I usually have a couple in the bank. I also like to, because I'm moving around all the time, I also like people not knowing where I am, if that makes sense. Like if I shoot down a Pattaya, or, you know, when I come here, it'll be like a few days so I put out the first video here.
Have you always done that, or did that kind of come as you started to grow and people might have been trying to follow you?
So I had this really interesting experience, and I had hardly any subscribers at the time. And I was sitting in, I was living in Pattaya during the lockdowns, and I was just like in my room editing one day, and there was a knock at the door, and I thought it was like housekeeping or something. So I've opened the door, and it's just some guy, and is like, "Hey man, like I love your videos. Can we hang out?" And I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, because I'd been showing my hotel. And I'd obviously showed the room number or something of me walking out. And that's when I started to realize, like, oh, you need to be careful about what you do and don't show.
Yeah. Do you have like a community of vloggers that you share these stories with, that you can, like a help group you can reach out to?
Yeah. I'm in a group chat. And it's like, we call ourselves like the YouTube support group.
Okay.
But no, having a good network of YouTuber friends is really important, because it's good to talk about these things. Paddy Doyle's a mate of mine. Yeah. And I was with him last week, and we were talking about this, you know, planning your day around the content and how much of an impact that can have. You know, he jumps on a bike and goes days and days on end, and it's like, that can be really draining. So
yeah, I've seen, sorry, grab some water if you're thirsty as well. Some of the guests, they'll come on and they're like, "Can I move?" It's like, this is a podcast, be free. Yeah, I mean, Paddy, I watch his content. It's very overwhelming, I can imagine, for him. And I've heard guys like Chad from CB Media explain back in the day as well, when Chad was kind of doing more the, like, during the pandemic tours around Isan. And he said, it's not really that fun, and you wouldn't want to be with me because I might need to stop 50 times and retake the shot. You don't want to be part of that tour. I have to do it on my own. Does Paddy say something similar as well?
Yeah, it's not as easy as it all looks. And yes, it seems so glamorous, right? Like, oh, let's jump on a motorbike and go around the country. And, you know, I think, like, I've wanted to do bike tours, but I'm like, God, it's a lot of work. You know, there'll be times where you'll be riding all day and there's nothing interesting to see or talk about. There's days where it rains. Yeah. You know, so I think it's a lot more challenging and less glamorous than it looks.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about doing a vlog, but we'll probably do something a little bit different. We filmed a concept episode. It's called People of Phuket, and the idea of it is, we filmed one. I just don't have the bandwidth to keep going on it yet, but eventually I'll get back into it. And the idea is, the guests that come onto the show that are living in Phuket, or it could be anywhere in Thailand, but obviously easier with Phuket, the guests will come on the show, and then we will go do a day in the life vlog of them.
Oh, cool.
And then kind of connect the two videos. So it's, you know, what they talk about, what they do there, it's, you know, you're kind of just sitting here. And then there we can get the B-roll and the actual footage. And at that point, when you're creating content and reels and clips, it can blend together. So it's trying to synergize that. I just don't have the bandwidth. We filmed one, and the filming alone took like 2 weeks because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And then the editing was like another month because we didn't know what we were doing, and going back and reshooting. So, I mean, I give a lot of respect to vloggers out there at that level. It's not easy. It's definitely not an easy job. to jump back to, let's say, your support group, the vloggers, this community is primarily, most of you now are located in Bangkok.
Yep.
There's not too many on this island. There's one, Richie Maybella down south. Is there any politics in this group where, don't talk to that fuckhead because of XYZ?
No, and it's really funny because everyone thinks that we're in competition with each other, but it's not the case at all. It's almost more of a community. So yeah, no egos, no. We'll talk about we sit around and gossip and stuff like that. But no, there's no egos or anything.
Yeah, we'll throw, no, we won't throw Esquire under the building. We saw Esquire, okay, whatever, fuck it. I saw Esquire, he originally blew up Pearly G and these girls in Icy. I'm like, I've always wondered, he brings them on and then what happens behind closed doors, and then anyways, that's
the question I get asked all the time as well, got all these girls in your videos and stuff. And
yeah, I guess the original, then she became your girlfriend. So, that first video, the girl with the pink hair, Kay.
Yep.
You kind of end the vlog where you're like, lights are on in your apartment, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna keep drinking. Just like shut. I think most people's imagination understood what's going on there. Yeah. Are there any vloggers or even content outside of YouTube or directors, like anything that you kind of take from to apply to when you're doing, whether you're filming or you're editing? Who do you benchmark or who do you look up to?
I'm a massive fan of Casey Neistat. It's very evident in my videos. My earlier videos, I tried to just directly copy everything he did. But I still love that style. And that's what I wanted to do here when I was looking at the travel space, like travel videos here. I love B-roll. I would ideally not talk in my videos because I enjoy the shooting of B-roll. I like looking at it. I like cutting it to music and everything. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Casey Neistat, I've watched everything he's done countless times.
Yeah, that B-roll footage. I used to be a skateboarder. I have a skateboard here. I think I'm about 90 kg. I feel like I need to lose 5 to get back on the thing, or my knees will give out.
Yeah.
But it kind of, that vlog has that old toy machine video feel to it, where they throw in that B-roll, that's old CKY, here's your content, and let's roll it over with the B-roll with some music. Does that also derive as well from like skate videos, because that's where your passion comes from?
Yeah, 100%. As a kid, I would watch skate videos. I was into dirt bikes, and I'd watch all these videos and just like idolize the people in them. And I wanted to be I used to make videos of me like riding my BMX around and stuff. And that's a big part of why, like, the style of my videos. And when I watch other YouTubers, like, I don't want to listen to people talking all the time. I want to see, especially if you're traveling. I've got a trip to Japan coming up, and I've been trying to find, just like looking through Japanese vloggers. And yeah, it's just like, I just want to see the city. I don't want to listen to you or your story. I just want to see where I'm going to get excited about it.
Yeah, and I think every viewer that, indulges in YouTube, they all have what they're looking for. And there's always an audience for somebody. Do you engage with your community? Maybe not just in the comments, it could be by email. Have you ever had any close encounters or good relationships just from, let's say, the audience connecting with you?
Yeah, I've made friends, but it's a really tricky thing, because at the beginning, you're so grateful for everyone that follows you. I used to reply to every comment, reply to every email, answer DMs and stuff like that. And it gets to a point, it gets a little bit overwhelming and kind of suffocating. I don't answer DMs anymore. I don't answer personal emails. There's a lot of people who just email saying like, hey, can we get together and have a beer or something? And when you do the type of content that I do, I understand that the audience builds a relationship with you, and they think they know you, or they do know you to a certain extent. And they start to feel like a friend. I get the funniest texts sometimes. People are like, hey bro, I'm in town. I'm in Bangkok. And it's like,
like on Instagram? Like
yeah. And I have no idea who this person is. And it was like, am I supposed to be excited? Like, this is a weird thing to deal with, but yeah. And
I guess back to the question, are there any good friends that have come from that you can still say you're close with?
Yeah, I made a whole lot of friends. I did a meetup. So couple of weeks ago, and it's something I don't think I ever really wanted to do, and I'd sort of put it off. But I had a friend buy a steak in a bar, and she's like, "Can you just help me sort of promote it or something?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool." I'm like, "Well, I'll hold a little meetup there." So I gave it like 24 hours notice. It was in Pattaya, and 100 people showed up. So it was really cool, and I enjoyed it way more than I expected to.
Were there any strange encounters?
No, I haven't had any. You know, like, and I get a lot of troll messages and stuff. Like, I've blocked like 600 people, but I've never had anyone say anything to you.
Yeah, they won't actually come up to your face. I mean, everyone gets trolls. Just block, delete.
Yeah, I mean, every now and then I give like a smart ass response and then let it sit there for a little bit.
I give all smart ass responses. Like I fuck with them. I'm like, all right, let's go. I give my address too. Good luck. Yeah, I was talking to like Chris Parker as well about this, and he said and it's pretty much going off your point earlier. People will come up to you and they'll say, "Hey man, how's it going?" And what he was saying was they don't realize you don't know who they are because they've, digested so much of your content. They feel they know who you are. Can you relate to that?
Yeah, 100%. And like, I find that, when I hang out with other YouTubers, like the first time I met Patty, like when we were hanging out, I was like, I feel like I've known this guy forever. So I experienced that as well. So I totally understand that. It can be weird at first. And then like, I've just gotten so used to just having like a one-sided conversation. Like when I meet people, I can just talk about stuff that they'll understand, talk about my friends or what I'm doing that day. So, and
you connect as well because it's the same type of industry you're in.
Yes,
business. Yeah. See, I have a little filter. My tip. Let's see if you'll use it. I shouldn't even announce that because I'm now going to get called out for it. But basically, I don't want to respond to DMs because I have in the past, and then a conversation starts. That's and then you can't get out of it. So my response is to DMs. And it depends, like if I want, okay, this is a cool fan, let's keep them rolling. I just respond in broken written English. This is Brendan's assistant, Sharon. Sorry, he can contact you later. And every time they reply, I'm just right again. He is away. I tell him. This way, like you don't fuck them off. And if anyone's watching this, sorry, that's what it is. But I have engaged, and then you can't get out of it.
That's right. And so many of the times people ask me a question and it's like, God, I could answer that for you really quickly and really easily, but it's going to escalate to the point where you're texting me like, what are you doing? Or sending me photos. Like I had with someone and he's like, starts sending me photos of his lunch. It's like, fuck off. Like I wanted to help you with the one thing, but I wanted to end there. And you just can't do that, right?
Yeah, I think maybe educating the audience as well and how to... That could be an interesting video. I'm sure people give you, hey, I got an idea for you. We get this all the time. I got a guest for you. And then you look and you're like, who the fuck is this homeless guy? Yeah. Anyways, but educating the audience on how to interact with the creator. And it's more or less, I've said off camera, but it's, imagine 1,000 people responded to you and you had 1,000, you would get nothing done that day.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's like, it's not that you're trying to be rude. It's just, you're very, very busy.
It's good to sort of disconnect yourself a little bit as well as a creator.
Yeah. You recently disconnected yourself and then you came back and I don't know if we talked about that, but we cut back in. So we'll go back to that point. And as you come back in, things get a bit rusty because maybe you haven't touched the camera in a while. Can you talk about that experience? Yeah,
well, I've never switched off. I've been doing it sort of coming on 2 years now, and it's been pretty much every day, right? So I haven't taken any time off, and it was really nice to do it. I was back in Australia with family, and it's rare to get the whole family together. So we were all together, and I really enjoyed that time, and it was just nice to put the camera down and not even think about it and just enjoy the family time. And then, coming back, first video was a little rough. It's like you can't talk all of a sudden, but back in the swing of it now.
Yeah, I listened to a recent podcast with Daniel Negreanu and Lex Friedman, and I kind of could connect that maybe to content creators. Daniel Negreanu would say something, okay, I'll do the World Series of Poker Tour. It's 10 days, 12 hours a day. And at the very end, he said, I'm burnt out. I don't want to play poker. And if I don't want to play poker, I can't do that. I don't have the itch. I don't have the drive. As he stepped away from the game, he would start to get an itch about 2-3 weeks later. And that's kind of the creative processes within himself to drive him back to, go back to his love is and what his business is. Did you feel that itch when you left and you're like, okay, I want to get back into it?
Yeah, I did. I really enjoy making videos. It's what I'm passionate about. And just the experiences that come along with it, it forces me to have a good day every day, because it is a kind of like a responsibility in that way. So I just miss the fun that comes along with making the videos. Do
you ever feel the pressure? Because YouTube is the almighty Lord and you have to produce one video a week or how often you were producing them and putting them out. And just some weeks you're like, I don't want to do it this week, but I got to. Did you ever get that feeling?
Not really. I put a little bit less pressure on myself because I was doing daily, like every single day. And I did put pressure on myself to get the video out every day. I've got the editing and everything down now. I can sort of knock out a video in like 2 hours, sometimes even quicker. So the process isn't that difficult for me. But towards the end of the year, if there was a day I didn't feel like making a video, I'm like, I'm just not going to make a video today. I didn't make one yesterday. So yeah, I just put a little bit less pressure on myself now.
Yeah, because I'm assuming as well, like this is it. This is your job. This is how you're generating revenue. For anyone out there that doesn't want to have that part-time job and they want to be a full-time YouTube vlogger or just making content on YouTube, can you explain the process of how you went about monetizing your channel beyond just like YouTube ads?
It's really funny because when you start making good money, then all the opportunities come along. And it's like, I needed these back when I wasn't earning anything. But, sponsorships are a great one. You can earn really good money for those little 60-second integrations. And then also like product reviews is something I quite enjoy. I've been sent a couple of headphones, some translators, a drone.
Yeah, I saw the kettle, the
time kettle. Yeah.
Time kettle.
And that's fun because like you can make a video out of it, get paid for it. And they're usually a fun thing to do, just something different.
Are you able to share like what they would pay? I know this is kind of a taboo question. Are you able to share like what typically, if someone made you do an unboxing of a product, like what are you going to generate from that? Maybe in terms of Thai baht. Are you able to share that?
I don't mind sharing the figures. So, for the, like say the drone, for example, they sent me the drone and they paid me $500 to review it. I think I'll do something like that for $500. All those, the translators and all that stuff, sort of around that $500 to $1,000 is where I'm at the moment for brand deals. So the better ones like the reads and stuff are about $1,000 US dollars. And it just sort of, it just depends on what your average video views are.
So you're generating revenue obviously from YouTube ads, but that's never, I'm assuming it's never like breaking the bank there. And then you're getting read reviews, product reviews. What else are you doing to kind of be able to, again, just do YouTube full time?
Well, the ad revenue is surprisingly good.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, my best month I think was like $6,000 US dollars.
Oh, I was surprised. I didn't think ad revenue could get that high. Interesting.
So I average about $5 for every 1,000 views.
Yeah.
Average video views across the channel are over 20,000. So if you're doing the content all the time, like that's a big thing of doing daily, you're getting paid every day. So you can make great money from that. And then when you combine it with the brand deals, it can be surprisingly lucrative.
And especially living in Thailand as well.
Yes.
That kind of money in Thailand, I think if we were to frame that question of my experience, first of all, there's no way you can live in Thailand for $1,000 a month. This is absolute ludicrous.
I feel like you could.
You think? You could, but I don't think you're going to enjoy it. Meaning like you would have to pay, let's call it $10,000 for rent, $3,000 for electricity. That's 13. Let's call it, you got 35. So you got 15,000 left for the rest. I mean, you can blow that one night in Patong.
Yeah, well, you're living a very different lifestyle.
Okay, that's what I mean. If you wanted to live, if you ate Thai food every day, or even, I think eating Thai food and doing your groceries is probably going to be quite similar in terms of cost. But you got your motorbike, and then you have miscellaneous expenses. 35,000 baht a month to live off of. It's at the end of the month, you're going to have zero for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think is kind of the fair value to someone coming to move to Thailand of what they kind of would need to budget to live, a normal lifestyle?
I would say like at least 2,000 a month.
Yeah.
But then you can spend a lot of money here, like you said. Like I'm spending way too much, but like some months spend like $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, and it's like a lot of time don't. It's like drinking is a huge part of it. Like it's not cheap to go out drinking here. It's a misconception that like everything in Thailand's really cheap. And I was out last night paying 200 baht for a beer. Like that's like $8 or so it can go quick. But I think $2,000 is a good sort of base level. You could live quite a basic lifestyle and still go out a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to beach clubs. You're not spending 10,000 baht getting bottles. You're not hitting that level. But most English teachers here, let's say they're working at Thai English schools, they're getting about 35, 40 in Phuket. And from what I've known of them doing that job, it's like just enough to scrape by and budgeting. The people you're hanging out with in Bangkok, is it only YouTubers? Do you have friends from all sorts of walks of life? I know you're into skateboarding as well.
Yeah. Funnily enough, the guys are mostly YouTubers. I've found it really hard to make friends with Thai guys. It's just harder to meet them in the first place. But like when I started skating again, I've been able to meet Thai guys that way. But it has been, it was much more challenging than I expected. Whereas like when I lived in Korea, I was completely integrated. All my friends were Korean. I spoke Korean. I lived much more of a Korean culture lifestyle there. Whereas I find here living in Thailand, you live in this like gray zone of, half Thai culture, half Western culture. You can live here and not speak a word of Thai.
Why do you think there's that difference in culture and also being able to connect with them?
I mean, this is a very tourist, like there's so much tourism here, right? So people speak English. In Korea, if you walk into a 7-Eleven, they just speak to you in Korean. And it's like, it's up to you to understand or not. So it's tough to get by on just English there. So I put a lot of effort into learning the language. It's much easier language to learn than Thai. Thai is super difficult. So yeah, I was much more integrated, and I was really interested in living the Korean culture because it's something, that excited me.
Yeah, Korea is, I love Seoul. I find have you been to Taipei?
Oh, briefly.
Okay.
Like I was just there for an overnight.
Taipei, Hong Kong, Seoul, these cities, they're very similar in terms of like that. There's not as big as wealth gap there. For sure there is, but there's people that are living a very high standard of living, and also the cleanliness and the culture and the way they move around, especially if you're on the GO trains or whatnot like that, or the subway. It's very similar. Thailand, if we were to compare like living in South Korea to living in you're living in Seoul?
Yes.
Living in Seoul and living in Bangkok, what are some of the differences for people that have no idea of Asian culture?
So like firstly getting around, like Seoul has the most incredible subway, like probably one of the best in the world. Like there's subway stations literally everywhere. Great underground network. It's like the whole city is really new. So getting around there is really easy using the subway. Whereas Bangkok, it can be really challenging, especially with the traffic. And it's getting worse. Like it's like constantly getting worse, the traffic in Bangkok. So, I mean, that's a big difference. And just also, I talk about that gray zone of living like half Asian, half Western culture. You very much live that in Bangkok, whereas in Korea, that's just like, it's not an option.
Yeah, China was like that as well for me. That's why I could speak Chinese. It's same thing. You go to the 7-Eleven, not a single word. You have to learn. You want to take a taxi, you have to learn.
Have to learn, yeah.
You have said in recent interviews and on your channel that you thrive in these cities. You love, the hustle and bustle. A place like South Korea, or Seoul and Bangkok, they're very different controlled chaos.
Yes.
But you can thrive in both. Is there one or the other that you appreciate more?
It's really funny because I never planned to live here long term. This was just sort of like a stepping stone. And I've been here a bunch of times. I traveled like 7 or 8 times before I lived here. And I really did fall in love with this place. Seoul has a special place in my heart. I absolutely love that city. And I find it just, everything interests me. I walk down the street, I'm like, oh, the streets are beautiful. I like the shops. I like the LED lights everywhere, So Bangkok, it crept up on me, and I like it way more than I ever expected to.
Yeah, Seoul's an interesting. I loved in the university city. When we were playing hockey, I was playing hockey in Seoul as well, and they have those like themed hotel rooms.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And that was the university town, and you leave, and the bars are there, and there's like literally you're bar hopping and like playing in batting cages. It's like a theme park in the bar. Do you know this area?
Yeah, Hongdae.
I couldn't remember. It's not. We did go to Itaewon, but it wasn't this. It's the university area.
Yeah, Hongdae. Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I thought I really enjoyed Seoul. That's a place I would go back. I want to live there eventually, but maybe just like the right months, the right time, because it gets cold there. I mean, winter is.
Super cold.
I lived in Taiwan. It's freezing cold as well. Let's jump more into the mind of Adam Jones, and first let's open it up. Where does the name come from?
That Keis One.
Keis One.
So Keis is a nickname I got. Stupid story. So the first time I ever smoked weed, I was with a bunch of friends, and we were smoking weed, and the rule was, no one drives. So put your car keys in a bowl at the front door. And I was smoking, getting high, and then I'm very aware all the time. And I was like, at one point I was like, oh shit, I've lost my keys, and I'm thinking they're in the couch, and I'm looking for them, and my mate's like, they're at the bowl by the door. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. Then about 10 minutes later, I start doing the same thing. I'm like, fuck, I've lost my keys. And again, I did it. I think I did it like 3 times or 4 times. And they're like, dude, the keys are at the bowl. And I'm like, God, yeah. Then it just sort of, every time my mates see me, like, oh, where are your keys now? Sort of thing. And it just kind of stuck. I got a key necklace on. And so yeah, Keis was my nickname. And then Keis One, give it a bit of a hip hop type thing. So like
one.
That was, yeah. I mean, it was my Instagram was that. And then it just sort of everything grew around that. Like I got TikTok just to keep just have the name Keis One, so no one else would have it. Mm-hmm. And that's just what the YouTube channel was called.
Yeah. Okay. Well, have you told that story before on any of your vlogs?
I don't know if I told it on my vlogs. I've told it on live streams a couple of times.
Okay. Well, we'll clip that. We'll make a reel. Everyone's gonna. There we go. There's the answer. Maybe some more of the dark and disturbing questions. As you progress in life, I mean, do you see yourself vlogging till you're 90 years old?
No. But I would like to think that I'll still make videos for many, many years. I still love it, enjoy it, and I like watching them. I'm a fan of my own content. I love rewatching old videos to relive the memories. So where I'm going, I have no idea. And I don't care. I'm along for the ride, and I'm having a whole lot of fun.
Would you create time capsule content that would only be released after your death?
That is a dark question. That's kind of cool. I've given that no thought. Stuff like that's cool. What I think is cool about making these videos is like someone might want to watch it in 50 years. Like imagine if someone had a daily life channel or made daily life videos 100 years ago, and you could watch that now. Like that'd be fascinating. So,
this is a way to live on in the ether as you never die. Mr. Beast was talking about that that's where I kind of took this question from. I'm like, I'm going to ask this to other people that are making content. And he was asked that he wants to do this idea where he'll make so much content at one point in his life and not release anything, and only release it when he dies. And that content will be able to survive for 10 years. So you can continue to watch him after. Do you fear death? Do you fear any of this moving forward in life? I mean, especially living in Asia where our perception and understanding of death changes from the Western world.
Yeah. And you do stupid things here all the time. Like I get on the back of a motorbike with no helmet, you know, I hate it. I spent my whole life on bikes. I know how easy it is to come off. And I've had tons of crashes on dirt bikes. So, you know, definitely you do things here that lower your life expectancy. Taking bikes in Bangkok is one. And just, you know, I'd never seen a dead person before I came to Thailand. And I've seen way too many here. You know, you see bike accidents all the time. The roads are insane. So, yeah.
Yeah, you start to get that connection. Same with death. I mean, I've seen it too. There's something in our DNA that, you know, you drive by these motorbike accidents and you say, don't look, but you always look. And sometimes when you look, you're like, I should have not seen that. That's like deep embedded in my mind. Have you come across, you said you have seen death. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, a couple really stand out to me. A guy died meter your way. So I was on the sidewalk and this guy was riding the wrong way up the road, up the wrong side of the road at night with no helmet, no headlight, and just like, you know, along the sidewalk. And then as a car was coming the other direction, he's just turned. I don't know if he didn't see the car or what happened, but this car didn't even brake, just collected him at like probably 80 Ks an hour.
He was going 80.
The car was going 80 and just
shit.
like hit the dude on the bike and the guy just went flying. Like he would have died instantly. And that was just like, holy shit, that just happened.
Did you stop for that and like check anything, or you're like, was there nothing like
people came running because it was right near a night market. Everyone just like sort of went running over, and I was with a girl and she just like freaked out. So I was just sort of like comforting her. I knew, I was like, don't go look at that. Like that guy's dead. Like there's no way he could survive that. So that was one. And you know, just the roads are so dangerous. When we were doing road trips, like every single day you see crazy accidents.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, they really drive crazy. And Phuket apparently has the highest like motorbike death rate in the world, which I completely understand. It's now, I would say every single time it's the person's fault, most of the time. And I think a lot with the tourists is, let's say they're Russian, they forget that we're on the left side of the road. So when they pull out, they start to look the wrong way.
Right, yeah.
And then they pull out and it's too late. And I've seen this, especially here, this roundabout's a nightmare. Are you on a motorbike? Did you rip up here?
No.
Okay. How'd you just grab, or?
I just got a taxi from.
Just got a taxi.
I was trying to get a Bolt. It was taking forever. So
yeah, right now for taxis, Bolt, Grab, everything, it's just so jam packed and everyone's canceling. And essentially, it's just the drivers going, I don't know if I want to go there.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to. I wanted to try this new segment on the podcast. Let's see how quickly I can pull this up. It might work. I didn't want to pre-test it just in case it does work. AI technology is coming out, and I think AI is going to help all of our businesses extremely well. Do you have your eyes on AI? Do you see how you could use it in your business?
My business. I mean, it's so AI can probably eventually edit my videos for me, right? Exactly how I would do them.
Yeah, there's certain AI tech that I think it's good for scripting, amazing for scripting. We're going to use ChatGPT. I've never tried this before, but this is the first time doing it on the show for this segment. I don't even know if it's going to work. I'm just going to type it in. I'm going to ask it, give me the top 3 questions to ask YouTuber Keis One. And they're going to try to pull it from your YouTube, and they're going to have questions, and then I'm going to ask you those.
Fascinating. Okay,
Let's see. This is our first AI interview question.
Cool.
Okay. So what are the top 3 questions? Well, let's change it to interview questions. What are the top 3 interview questions to ask YouTuber? Spelling mistake. YouTuber. It might not even work.
It'll just pull from my comments. Everyone.
I'm gonna
asking visa questions.
Let's see what happens. Top 3. Let's make it more creative. What are the top 3 personal? This is where you can get very, very creative. What are the top 3 personal interview questions to ask YouTuber Keis One? And let's get a little bit more descriptive. From the voice of, I was going to say Liam Nielsen, but I don't know how to spell that. How do you spell Liam Nielsen? Liam, I just want to see, and I'm going to try to do it in his voice. Let's see. Neeson.
Not Nielsen.
Yeah, I know. Now you know what? I just learned something. It's Neeson. I always thought it was Nielsen. Okay, we're learning Neeson, Liam Neeson. Let's see if they can do that. Okay, and we're going to hit enter. If anyone's listening. Let's see what they're going to ask. It's generating. It is generating. Okay. We're going to remove this Liam Nielsen part because I think it fucked it up a bit.
Confusing it.
Yeah. We'll just go back. But it did ask interview questions related to that, but it's pretty much stuff we've already asked. But I'll pick one then.
Can you, like, what are the questions?
It was
Even
kind
if
of
we were-
creative process stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll pick one. Oh, okay, I got one. It's pretty accurate. Okay, well, we'll just ask one because I think 3 will take a bit of time. So one of the questions from ChatGPT, I typed in, what are the top 3 personal interview questions to ask YouTuber? Oh, they removed that. Sorry, let's fix that. Sorry, this is our first time, so we got some technical difficulties. They removed Keis One, so let's try that again. Keis One. Save submit. Okay, here we go. Blah blah. Let's see, that one's okay. Okay, so it's okay. It's not as, like, I thought it would get more detailed to you. They're more general YouTube questions, so we'll just ask one, and I'm gonna try this on one of the segments on every episode, and maybe one day you can type some things in here. You can really pull it out. Okay, so the question we'll ask is, what are some of the biggest challenges you've faced as a YouTuber, and how have you overcome them? So it's very general.
Yeah. I mean, the challenge is just trying to understand it at the beginning. You know, how does the algorithm work? And try and, there's so much trial and error. So for me, it's all the challenges are just the little things, you know. How do I get in the algorithm? How do I show up? Why is this video doing well? Why is this video tanking? And that's where the support group comes in handy, you know, having other YouTuber friends, and, you know, we've got a group chat that we're always bouncing things off, bouncing ideas off each other. You know, there's this new thing with shorts. No one knew. It's like a short's going to have a positive or a negative impact on the channel. And it's, you know, friends of mine would experiment with it, and then, you know, we share all the results, and being open as well. You know, in our support group, we talk money, we talk analytics, we share everything, because that's the only way you're going to learn. So yeah, the challenges, there's just like so many little ones, just learning how to be a better creator, and having a good bunch of people around you that can sort of help you learn.
Do you think that deteriorates the creative process, where you start, you know, creating your content to please the YouTube gods and maybe not please yourself?
I think, yeah, that's why I very forcefully stay away from, you know, planning content. I want the content to be about my day, because yeah, that can be really draining and put a lot of pressure on yourself too.
Yeah, and you see that from YouTubers. I know, bringing it back up with Chris Parker, they kind of explain, like, they don't do it often, but they'll do it once every 2 months, where, okay, let's do the $5 challenge. Mm-hmm. But it's only because those videos do so well that, you know, let's grow that audience. Yeah. Speaking on the shorts, we jumped on the shorts, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. This probably doubled, or at least 25% subscribers. They're coming from shorts, which is very interesting. The only strange thing is you can't choose your thumbnails on the shorts, which I think is a bit weird.
I think they're about to change that.
They need to change that, yeah, because I used to do shorts on Instagram, reels on Instagram, for this Muay Thai and mushrooms type of Muay Thai account I made. We were playing around with it. And what I found in that algorithm was I had some videos that had a million plus views on Instagram from a reel. And it's like, I found out, okay, if I use this hip hop sound and I'm filming someone, just taking a clip of someone getting kicked in the head, even if they're not about to get kicked in the head, it could be like sparring. And the thumbnail is the kick about to connect. And I stopped it there and the video was less than 6 seconds. And I played around with it. Some views, 6 seconds, 1 million. 7 seconds, like 200,000. And then I would just test it out. It was really interesting stuff on the analytics side. And I think it's just the algorithms know what the audience is looking for, and then they kind of dictate the content of it.
And it's fun to learn that, you know, like I enjoy the experimenting, the trial and error and everything. You know, and there's so much of that at the beginning. When I was doing sort of, it's like, is daily content the best way to do it? You know, experiment with every second day. And, you know, I enjoy that creative process.
And are you releasing your like videos on YouTube at the same time when you do it every time?
Yeah, I've always done.
What time is that?
6:45 Thailand time.
Thailand time. And you just find, is there a huge drop off if you did it at 3 p.m. or 9 p.m.?
I just don't get that initial hit, and that can sometimes set your video up. So, like I've done ones at weird times, and if they don't get that big hit at the beginning, the video doesn't perform well.
Right.
And I think just people knowing that it's the same time all the time, everyone jumps on and tries to comment first. Like there's a little competition thing each day, and it's fun.
I guess it comes back to traditional broadcasting television. You got a show, you watch it at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, and that's when you're expecting it to come out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the next evolution of Keis One? Are you going to get outside of the daily vlogging? Are you getting the itch to try something new?
I really don't know. This year, I plan to be making a lot of content, travel to some new countries. I've got a trip to Japan coming up, which I'm really excited about. But I don't know where the future is. I'm just enjoying where it's taking me.
And that really aligns with this Thailand Buddhist mentality. They really live in the present. Were you always like that? Were you always kind of, I'm going to live in the present. I don't have a plan, but let me do this now.
Since I left Australia, like back when I was working, I was much more of a planned person. But I enjoy like spontaneity and just not knowing the future. People say like, what's your 5-year plan? It's like, shit, I don't know. And I don't really want one. I don't know if they're necessarily a good thing, because if like in 5 years time, I want to look back at what I was thinking now and be like, I'm way smarter than that. Whereas like if you set up a 5-year plan and you just do all those things, you don't have that time to grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know I try to set goals, but keep them pretty loose. And otherwise you put too much pressure on yourself as well, I think. And with that pressure, then you stop to enjoy the process.
Yeah, that's right.
What is next for you today? Now you're creating your content. You came on here. Could you give us kind of like a build up to what this video might look like in the day of the life of coming to this podcast and what you're doing after?
So today, I'm hungover as hell, to be honest.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to go out last night. Went out last night. I had a super late night. So the story for today will loosely be around that. Just sort of, me, a haggard mess this morning, trying to get my act together to come onto a podcast.
Yeah, I told you, I said, I've done them. I've done about 10 hungover, and I remember I did one with a friend, and she was just like, when the camera was on her, I was just like, and come back to me, and I tried to gather it. It's very painful because your brain is just trying to pull information, and it's just like words are not coming together.
Well, I've done a lot of my videos I was hungover for. Yeah. I can always sort of like slap it together, but I haven't thought that far ahead yet for the rest of the day. So I'd love to go for a swim. The beach down here is incredible. So
yeah, Surin is great. It's calm now. In the high season, it's deathly. Back to that. I've seen a 10-year-old kid drown there from like here to that fucking
shit.
Well, that story is. It's the quick story is basically like I went to go about look in, and by the time I got there, like there was no body. So like by the time the lifeguards got there, because nobody knew, the kid was probably playing with the friends, he jumped in, and then probably 15 minutes went by. And basically by the end, like he was, wherever he jumped in, he was floating under the water, like 100 meters away. So I saw them like throw him on the sea-doo and bring him into shore, and I just fucking walked away. I'm like, I can't see that. There's no way. And he must have been under for like 20 minutes. And you just saw, it was sad because it was his uncle, and the kid was from like Nakhon Si Thammarat and just visiting. So the uncle is just like panicking, and it's like, oh my God, this is this ocean here on this side, Surin, during the July months, it is mental. Like the waves can be 2-3 meters. Right. The surf is crazy, but yeah.
I used to surf. I've got a lot of respect for the ocean and Mother Nature, like, because it's so powerful. I see people just like, I mean, the beaches here aren't too bad, but so people just like run into the beach and there's a current. You can clearly see there's a current. It's like, fuck, that's so dangerous.
Yeah, and you can't fight. Actually, it's funny. I used to live in Australia. I lived on the Gold Coast,
cool.
Southport. I was just at university, Griffith University, for a year, and I got caught in a rip out there. And here is nothing like Australia. Was insane. That rip, I was genuinely scared for my life. Luckily, I was with an Australian friend, and he taught me how to get out of it. Most people try to fight it, and he's like,
and then you get tired,
and you don't realize like it sucked us out 100 meters in like seconds. Yeah. And we didn't. Sometimes you don't know you're in it. And then you just had to kind of panic, not panic, slowly get out. But
yeah, I took this boat ride in Krabi, and it was insane. Like there was like waves breaking. It was on one of those long tail boats, and there was like waves breaking over the bow of the boat. And I was shitting myself on this boat ride because I was like, if this boat capsizes, like we're out in the middle of nowhere, and the power of the ocean, especially if you land somewhere like you may think, oh, I'll just swim to the nearest island, but the current may be taking you the other way. It's not up to you.
Yeah, at that point, you're kind of just floating for your life. You can't. Have you done scuba diving before?
No, I've never done scuba diving. I really want to.
Well, living in Thailand, it's definitely one of the best. The Samelian Islands is the best. So if you ever get a chance, I would suggest do a live aboard. Mm-hmm. Maybe do an open water in Koh Tao or Koh Phi Phi. Get your open water, but you need advance for the live aboard in Samelian. It is like a Saudi Arabian trillionaire chic, like aquarium. You can't even just like describe it. And I've been diving for about 5 years. After I saw that, it's the number one. There's nothing else better than that. So if you're here and you get a chance, it's only between, I think, November to May because of the currents and the waves. I mean, the stormy season comes in. And just stay on the board. You stay on the boat for 2 nights. It's enough. They'll give you 8 dives, but wow, it's spectacular out on Samelian. Unreal.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's but again, the same thing when you're fighting the waves and the current. If you're doing it diving, like they call it drift diving, where you kind of just hop in the water and there could be like a wall reef and you just follow it. If you turn around and try to fight it, you're not fighting it. You're actually just staying in one spot.
Yeah,
that's insane. Okay, what time are we at? We're probably near the end. 1 hour. Oh, perfect time. We try to keep it under, I got that right on. We try to keep it under 119. That's what we're seeing as the podcasting video, like sweet spot. Before we wrap it up, understanding a little bit about like your family side and the family back home, what are their thoughts on this lifestyle change you've made initially? What were their thoughts and how do they respond to it today?
I'm really lucky that I've got super supportive parents. And when I told them I wanted to like move overseas and do something crazy, they were like, oh, that's cool. Like, go for it. They sort of supported me. I think they were nervous for sure. But, my mentality moving overseas was always that like, if it doesn't work out and I run out of money, you just come back and start again, right? Like I had a good resume. I felt like I could have gotten another job straight away. So yeah, I was never really that concerned making that huge jump. And they've been behind me the whole time. And they think it's awesome now, it's, they're really happy I'm making a living from this and they can see I'm happy. I think last year was without question the best year of my life. So
why was it the best year?
I just had so much fun, it's a dream lifestyle, just the making the videos. I've got awesome friends. I just have fun every single day. It's like being on a holiday every day. Yeah,
I've never thought of it from this perspective, but creating this vlog content every day. I mean, yeah, you can look back at it when you're older, but it also forces you to get out of the house instead of, today I might just go to the gym, maybe go to the beach and just chill out in the house. But this one's like, I got to get outside and interact with the world
and go do something cool. Yeah.
Right. And you can't really get that. Like that's kind of your pressure. It's pushing you outside as well. No, that's interesting. Okay. We're just going to wrap it up. I will thank you for watching, everyone, but I'm going to kick it back to, this is your camera here. So you can stare into the souls of your audience. That is probably who is watching, because we don't really have one. I'm joking. And just let everybody know where they can find you, whether that's YouTube, Instagram, all your socials, and any things you have coming out and anything you want to plug as well.
Cool. So I'm Keis One. That's Keis One. On everything, you can sort of just search me. Every social media platform, I have that. Coming up, I've got a really cool trip to Japan coming up, which I'm super excited about. Japan is my favorite country to visit. I like it so much that I actually don't go there all that often, because I never want it to become normal. So I'm super excited for that. Going to spend about a month or close to a month there. So that will be in March. And then just tons more videos coming out.
Yeah, and you can, you'll probably, are you going to be out tonight on Bangla? A little hair on the dog, or?
I definitely need a beer. Yeah.
See, we should have had some beers on the podcast. When you said you were originally like, I won't go out. There's no way you're not going out when you stay in Patong. It's almost impossible.
Well, I thought I'd go out and then come back at a reasonable time.
It's the same conversation. Hey, let's go for a beer.
Yeah.
Who has ever gone for one beer in the history of this world? I mean, it's never happened. I can't even think of one time I've went out for one beer.
Yeah.
No, impossible. Okay, we're going to go down to the beach and we're going to try to film this funny intro. Hans, you're interested in it? I'll buy you a coconut. All right. If you enjoyed the content, leave comments. Apparently that's what helps engagement, and like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. I do not know when this is aired, but I guess it doesn't matter because you've already watched it. Okay, we're out. Yeah. Awesome, dude. Cool. Thanks a lot. How was it? Were you struggling with the hangover at the end? I'm telling you, I've done them, and they're just like, I did one of Tim Newton.